Please realize that you will get through this. Not even a test, okay? It is not a test. It is how you are able to understand the game behind the test. And let me tell you, with a positive mindset, hard work ethic, you are gonna get there and you are gonna get the score you want. Hey guys, what's up? It's Tanya and I am back with another YouTube video for you guys. So today's video I am going to be talking about something that's really important. I'm going to be talking about standardized tests, and standardized tests is actually a really fun topic to talk about. I know a lot of people get really iffy when they hear about standardized tests because they're like, oh my god, standardized tests, like I'm not a good test taker, there's no way I'm going to get into college with this scores, I don't want to talk about it. But honestly you guys, standardized test is something that when you understand the game behind it, you will get the score you want. I promise you. Know that this isn't really a test. It's kind of something that you can learn how to do. You can learn all the skills behind the test and ace that thing, and that is going to be a component to your application that is going to make you look like, ooh, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Yeah. This video is really requested. I had a lot of juniors asking me to push out this video, and I have a lot of family members asking me to talk about, my experience with the ACT and kind of walk them through my journey. So before we begin this video, I want to kind of tell you guys what stats I got. I'm not trying to brag in any type of way about my stats. They definitely could have been improved. Just kind of want you guys to know what kind of score I got, and if my tips kind of align with the score that you want. I got a 34 on my ACT composite. Super scored, I got a 35. So when I'm applying to colleges, it's really convenient that a lot of colleges super score. So do not forget that super score option. And if you don't know what super score means, don't worry, I will talk you through it and how to do it. All that fun stuff. Before I took my ACT, I wasn't going to take the ACT actually. I was going to take the SAT. My tutor told me that the SAT was kind of a better option for me, but then I kind of realized during this time, exactly a year ago, that the SAT just wasn't right for me. I was doing a lot of Khan Academy prep and I wasn't seeing an increase in my score, or at least I wasn't getting the score I wanted. So I kind of was like, I made this executive decision to myself that I was just not going to take the SAT and I was going to start preparing for the ACT. First time I ever took an ACT practice test was when I was a sophomore. I got a 23. I didn't even know how to take the ACT. I didn't know anything about the ACT. I was able to get my score up by 11 points by just doing these things. The next time I took it was more like a reasonable score you could give me, is a 28. I also took this as a practice test, and this was kind of before I decided to make that decision that, hey, I am switching tests. This is not happening for me. So that was before any prep or anything like that. So I'm going to be talking about some of the books that personally helped me and some of the strategies. So the first thing I started with for ACT, I honestly really recommend this book. It's called McGraw-Hill Edition 10 ACT practice test. This book is a really nice starter book, okay? Starter book. And I say that because a lot of people think that when you do these 10 practice tests from McGraw, I will link everything down below, but everyone thinks that when you do these practice tests, that all of them are gonna be, it's just gonna be sufficient. And that is not the way you want to go into this test, but that's kind of how I went into it the first time I took it, and I didn't end up getting the score I wanted. So yeah, always start with starter things. Do not just progress really, do not just choose a lot of books that are really hard and try to do ACT problems out of that. No, this book is meant for someone to understand how the ACT plays its games. And what I mean by that is understand the rules behind the ACT, understand the passages, how the passages are lined up, understand how there's a narrative passage, a historical passage. Every single section on the ACT has a grammar section or an English section, a reading section, a math section, a science section. you will learn the basics of each section through this book. I really suggest this book, but do not think that this is the only book you're gonna learn from unless you're like a super genius. So I went in and I took the ACT under this book. The first time I took it, I got a 32.5, which rounded up to a 33. And I know, like, you guys are probably thinking, oh my god, that's like one less point, but I really wanted to get a 34 on the ACT. That's really what I was striving for, and I felt like this book, kind of like when it came to the real test, I felt like the test was way harder than this book. So then I was like, you know what, I am just gonna go for something that's directly from the ACT. I got the official ACT prep guide, and I believe this is 2018 or 2017, 2018. Okay, so I'm gonna talk about each of the sections in this book. So the reading section was not really accurate to the test. Well, I know that's surprising because this is right from ACT, but the reading passages on the ACT are way more boring and they have really complicated text to it. Like, I know a lot of people are probably thinking, no, like the ACT reading section is nothing compared to the SAT. Well, if you are not the best reader like me, you'll kind of find the actual ACT passages a lot more harder. A lot harder, not more harder. Not proper grammar right there. The English section is super accurate, you guys. The English section is really nice for this book. I also really like the science section. The science and the English section are really accurate. So this book is amazing for those two sections, but math was kind of where I fell short. The next time I took this math section was really easy. It was a lot of basic problems, and then when I got to the actual ACT, the math section was super hard. So I wasn't really prepared for that. Next time I took my ACT, I'm just going to do a little score breakdown. I got a 35 in English, so yes, the English section on this book really helped me. I got a 33 in reading, I got a 32 in math, and I got a 33 in science. So I got a 33 composite score again. I was a little bit sad about that. I remember finding out about that and I was just like, why is this happening to me? And I took this test in June. I took the last one in April. But yeah, so then I was like, okay, you know what? I really need to up my math section. And if you guys know me, like, I love math, so like I was really like, I was kind of heartbroken because I was kind of like, you know, I'm gonna really spend my summer grinding for this, but it really paid off in the end. Basically what I did was I got this SAT2 mathematics level 2. So if you guys don't know what this is a subject test for Math 2 on the SAT 2 subject test. And I got this book. It's by Dr. John Chung. And let me tell you, Mr. Chung, you saved a girl, and you really helped a girl out, because this book, you guys, I love it. It didn't really prepare me for Math 2 because Math 2 was way simpler than I thought it was going to be. This book was really hard. During summer, this book gives you 61 tips, okay? So in the tips, it give you a little summary section, and then you have a couple questions to do. So basically what I did was I did all of the tips, I did all of the questions, and for each of the tips, I kind of like made these like flashcards. So for the really difficult ones, I put red post-it notes. So you can see there was a couple that I definitely found were pretty difficult because I just felt like I didn't learn it really well in school. So most of these you probably have learned about in school, these tips, but some of them I felt really shaky on. These like greenish or yellowish ones, this was kind of like memorizing, so like memorizing formulas and stuff, because ACT does not give you any formulas. So this wasn't the only thing I did. I invested in a really hard ACT book by Barrons. Barrons is known for having harder content when it comes to, like, you know, practicing these standardized tests, but then when you go to the standardized tests, it's like super like breeze feel, you know, like you feel like, oh wow, this is like pretty easy. But Barrons ACT book is freaking amazing, you guys. The English section was really difficult in this book. English section is really difficult in this book. The reading section is really difficult. The math section and science section, they're all difficult. And I remember going through this book and I was like, oh my god, I'm getting so many wrong. Like, there's no way that I'm going to do well on this test. But I actually ended up doing well because I was getting the problems wrong, and I went to the back of the book and I was understanding why I was getting them wrong. And when I went to the ACT, I was taking the actual test, the hard questions, you know, I understood how to do because I had already learned how to do these hard questions. You know what I mean? Another thing I got were these ACT flashcards. My friend is actually borrowing them right now, so I can't really show it to you guys. But basically, the ACT flashcards have around 400 flashcards. They're by Barrons. Just look up ACT flashcards. I'll even link it down below. Flashcards have the 4 sections and a bunch of tips and questions that you need to remember how to do. Math section, on the front side of the flashcard, they'll give you like a little word problem. You solve it on a piece of paper, you flip it around, you see the answer, and you see the solution and how the person got to that solution. Final breakdown of that score, of my ACT that I took this in September, but the final breakdown was I got a 33 in English. I got a 30 in reading. That was a little bit of a, you know, downside because I spent so much time on my STEM this time around that it just didn't go well for me there. For math, I got a 36, and then for science, I got a 36. So it was really nice to have my STEM score as a 36. I talked about super scoring at the beginning of my video, and I wanted to tell you guys that super scoring is something that colleges do to make things convenient for kids and to make them not feel overwhelmed with, you know, getting a great score in so many subsections. So in the SAT, I know there's 3 subsections. In the ACT, there's 4. What you can do with super scoring is you can take the ACT as many times as you want, and you basically take the highest score that you've gotten in every subsection, and then add them together and form like a new like score. So let's say, okay, my last 2 ACTs, I got a 35 in English. That was the highest English score that I got. So I got the highest English score as a 35. My highest reading score was a 33. My highest science score was a 36, and my highest math score was a 36. So when I combine all of those, divide by 4, I get a score of 35. So that is how super scoring works. Not every college has super scoring, but there are a majority of schools that do super score. So if you're thinking kind of about what school you really want to go to, I know it's really early as a junior, but if you have this kind of idea what school you want to go to, check out if they super score. Like, see if they super score. I know UC's don't super score, but I know there's a couple privates that do super score. I highly recommend thinking about that because I didn't even know that there was anything like that, and now I know, and I feel so relieved. It makes you feel like, oh hey, you know, I got that like extra little bump, and that colleges are, you know, doing that. It's just amazing. If you're really overwhelmed, you see these 4 subsections and you're just kind of like, I don't know how to study for them all, maybe try doing the McGraw, so getting the baseline of what's going on, and then just study 2 sections like crazy, okay? So you take that test in, let's say, February, and then you have good scores there. Then you retake it in April and you study the other 2 sections really nicely, and then you get really good scores there. Then you combine them and get a really high composite score, super score, whatever. Honestly, you guys, it really does take hard work and dedication. You have to think to yourself, is this something you want to do? You have to get yourself on board. Nobody should be forcing you to get a good score. You need to want it for yourself if you want to get that good score, because I'm telling you guys right now, like, my parents, like, although they really want me to do well in school and like get good scores, and I've said this like in a previous video, I push myself more than my parents do, and I think that's very important. If you want to see yourself succeed, you have to be the one pushing yourself, because in college, in future, like for me, I want to go to medical school. Like in medical school, my parents are going to be calling me and saying, hey Tanya, what are your, how is your curriculum going? Are you doing well in your classes? They're not going to be telling me that. I have to be the one pushing myself. Likewise, you guys have to be the ones pushing yourself and, telling yourself, hey, is this something that I want to do? And if you want to do it, you're going to do it. And don't think to yourself like, hey, like I don't have, I'm not smart enough for this test. There's no way that I can increase my score by this much. No, if I can do it, you guys can do it. Remember, first time I took the ACT, I got a 23. ACT told me that my range that I was probably going to score within was 27 to like 30-ish, 27 to 30. And I was like, I don't even know if that's good or not. At that point in time, I didn't really know that much about the ACT. But now, looking at it, I'm like, no, sister, no. I was able to increase it. And you guys can too. It really just takes this kind of sit-down mentality that you have to have and go into it positively. Positive mindset can take you a really long way, because once you start thinking about the test as something like you can conquer it rather than it's gonna conquer you, it becomes something that you actually enjoy doing. Please realize that you will get through this, and it's not even a test, okay? It is not a test. It is how you are able to understand the game behind the test. And let me tell you, with a positive mindset, hard work ethic, you are gonna get there and you are gonna get the score you want. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys kind of got something out of it, and I hope I was able to help you in any kind of way. Actually, for the ACT flashcards, once I get those back, I am going to probably send them out to people who need them. If you guys want to borrow them, let me know. If you guys want to borrow any of these books, please shoot me an email, private message me, and I'm totally happy to give you guys access to these books because they're amazing books and I don't really need them anymore. So please give this video a huge thumbs up, like, click, subscribe, and yeah, I'll see you guys in my next video.